Welcome, folks. This is video number 140. Title is My Hometown, Part 2. I'm going to cover a few more personal school experiences, then discuss how the old school has been repurposed as a community center. I had a friend named Billy Hobbs. He lived in a little house at the junction of Ameza Road and 407. Ameza Road crosses my road about 500 yards north of me. We used to ride our bikes back and forth and visit. We camped in the backyard and fished, etc. During school, every night I would do my homework. At least twice a week, whenever I went to turn it in, I couldn't find it. Years later, Billy fessed up to taking my homework. It seems he didn't want to be the only one to get in trouble for no homework. He quit school after 8th grade. In his later years, I asked Dad if he ever heard anything about Billy. Dad told me he had been killed in a mining accident. I believe Dad was thinking of Billy's father. His stepdad's name was Sherman. His little sister Deb lives across the road from me now. Billy actually was working for Sandvik Steel in Clark Summit and was married to another classmate, Dorothy Ross. Billy passed away about 3 years ago. I also had some trouble with my lunches. There were no plastic bags in those days. Our sandwiches were wrapped in wax paper. I would have 2 sandwiches and an apple or orange, and maybe a hard-boiled egg carried in a brown paper bag with my name on it. Someone got in the habit of stealing my lunch. I fixed him. Hardly anyone listening today would even know what lye soap is. I use the present tense, as it can still be made or purchased today. It was yellow like processed cheese, especially if you sliced it thin. After losing many lunches, I made one up of lye soap, slices, lettuce, and mayo. Someone took it. That was the last lunch ever stolen from me. The school has a different designation today. It is our community center. Of the 4 schools in the consolidation, ours is the only one remaining. Nicholson, Dalton, and the original Factoryville schools are gone. All elementary kids go to a newer building in Factoryville, which is also the administration building, last I knew. In the 1st grade room is the Country Cuts Salon. I get my hair, what's left of it, cut there. The 2nd grade room is now our post office with an outside entrance. The counter is only open from 1 to 5 daily. The 3rd and 4th grade room is the post office delivery and sorting area. 5th and 6th grade is used for township meetings and is our voting location too. The rest of the main floor is blocked by steel doors. It is used as a daycare facility. The gym is used for monthly food distribution. I thought better than to go downstairs to the cafeteria and locker room. With the state of today's society, I'd probably get in trouble. The only access I had is the South Hall. The picture I took shows the access doors on either side. When I took the picture, Country Cuts is on my immediate right. The next door on the right is the inside entrance to the post office sorting area. On the left side is a storage room that was the boys' lavatory. The next door is now a single-seat unisex bathroom. There used to be a little candy and snack shop manned by the students. My sister worked in there often. Next is the stairwell. The first flight goes to a landing at the gym entrance. Turning right on the landing used to go down to the cafeteria and locker rooms. And last on the left is the steel door that blocks off the rest of the building. Leanne owns Country Cuts. She is collecting memorabilia about the school. Her grandparents owned the corner store when I was a kid. More on that later. Leanne let me take a picture of what was the front half of my 1st grade. All the rooms were about the same. The 5th and 6th grade room, used for township meetings, still has the chalkboards in place as here in Leanne's shop. I gave her the 1965 and 1967 yearbooks I had. She has trophies, a cheerleader's cap, an old class and town photos, some before my time, too. Someone gave her a copy of the Bentonian paper. It was printed by the students. The date is May 29th, 1962. It's 58 years old. The headline, Benton Students in Science Fairs. On the left side of the front page is a wide column. In the center, a narrow column, and a wide column on the right. There are pictures of three handsome young men at the top of the left column. The picture missing was that of grades 1 and 2 winner Mary Anachik for space travel. The first young man pictured is Walter Foley, 3rd and 4th grade winner, The Story of Flight. The second young man was Martin Stubel, 5th and 6th grade, Electric Motors. He made a saltwater battery as part of it, too. His entry was next to mine. The third handsome young man was me, 7th and 8th grade. I actually now have proof that I had a nice head of hair at one time. My entry write-up is in the fold, and I didn't want to destroy the paper unfolding it. My entry, as covered in a previous video titled Science Fair, talks about my drawings of the 4 types of bees in a honeybee hive. I called out what their different components were and what their jobs were in the hive. I received a nice gold medal. It disappeared over the years. If I still had it, I would gladly give it to Leanne for her collection. The center column contains a list of names I haven't heard over half a century. To keep their memory going and to give examples of what us hicks from Fleetville were thinking about in the 50s and 60s, I'm going to copy what I can from that column. Yes, there was some at Trail who considered us hicks. These were some of the Benton entries in the Keystone College Science Fair. Carol Lee Foley won first grand award for girls, first award for physical sciences, and a $600 Keystone scholarship. Her project was titled Cryomagnetics. Other entrants were Lee Schweitzer, carbon dioxide cycle. Next on the list is Beverly McCullen, Fundamentals and Processes of Organic Chemistry. John Hufford, Radioactive Emissions. Joyce Potter, Biological Growth in the Human Body. Junior McCullen, Graphing the Number System. Barbara Price, Stroboscopic Effect. Walker Loveland is next on the list, but his subject is in the fold. The right-hand column shows Carol E. Foley, second from left in the front row, shaking hands with President Kennedy. She was a winner in the National Science Talent Search. Her subject was experiments with conditioned responses and heredity. She did this work with flatworms and guppies. Over the years during my travels, I have asked some young people if any major corporations had ever come to their schools looking for input regarding what their product may look like in the future. I have always gotten a negative response. In 7th and 8th grade, we were visited twice. The first time was by a couple of engineers from General Motors. They handed out kits containing graph paper, a compass, a protractor, and ruler. Our task was to design and draw what we thought a car would look like 10 years down the road. I think we had 2 weeks to complete our assignment. It was fun. Not long after, NASA, previously known as the Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, or the NACA, came to school with a similar assignment. They wanted us to design a space plane. It was to land on the Great Salt Flats. It's funny because my space plane at that time was the B-58 Delta Wing bomber. Louis brought it up at lunch a week or so ago. He liked it too. Naturally, I drew a Delta Wing spaceplane. It sure looks similar to the shape and function of the space shuttle when it was revealed. Not knowing anything about the salt flats, I thought it would be beneficial to have retractable brushes for landing gears instead of wheels. No one has tried that yet. Now for the school grounds, as they were and how they are now. The back of the school has two entrances, as does the front, each about 20 feet from the corners. The two sets of double doors are accesses to exits to the gym. Behind the school was a large open area. To the left and close to the parking lot was a big chain link backstop to the high school baseball field. To the back right was our Little League field. When the high school teams played, the Little League field was their outfield. When the Little League played, the high school field was our outfield. Not today. There is now a really nice Little League softball field in about the same location as ours. There is a nice press box behind the backstop, a concession stand and dugouts. There are nice yellow foul line poles and outfield fence. Fence takes up most of the area. Parking is around the school and in the open lot where the carnival used to be held. More on that later. During our time, this large area was used for parking when the carnival and our big parade took place. Off the north end of the school was our track and swings and a sliding board. I discussed with Leanne at my last haircut. She told me they were going to take the slide down. In the picture I took, there is a huge swing set. I'm not sure if it's original, but it's close. It's probably about 10 feet high. The slide that was there now is a wimpy one. Ours was as tall as the swings. 4, 5, 6 graders could fit on the ladder waiting to go up. The old rusty one there now is only about 6 feet tall, if that. Ours faced 407. This one is sideways to that. The 1st through 4th graders were scared to death to go down our slide. Remember I mentioned that our sandwiches were wrapped in wax paper? We ingenious 6th grade boys came up with the idea to ride that wax paper down the stainless steel slide. After 4 or 5 of us did that, it was no longer a sliding board. It was a human rocket launcher. The last part of the slide was maybe horizontal for about 18 inches or so. You could keep your feet up. You wouldn't hit the cinders for 8 to 10 feet, and sometimes skipped a couple times like a rock on a pond. Once we got that going, the girls all chickened out. Girls were required to wear dresses in our day. Today there is a small play area with a nice white picket fence around it located out near the road. Leanne told me they are going to expand it next year. Well, folks, that concludes part 2 of my hometown. As always, I wish everyone all the best.